Hi, you're listening to Book Chat with author Vivian E. Moore.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode. We really appreciate you joining us. This podcast really shows us how we can all learn, live, and thrive off of each other. By sharing our knowledge through our conversations, we will impart some knowledge whilst learning ourselves how to progress even further. Here is your host.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Book Chat. I am your host, Author Vivian E. Moore. I hope everyone is having a spectacular Saturday. I hope you had a great weekend. Here we are in August. Oh my gosh, July just flew by, just so quick. I don't know how fast August will speed by, but it seems as though this entire year has just been on warp speed or something. I don't know what it is. But anyway, we're closing out the year swiftly. And I hope that you have some things that you can look back on thus far, good things, hopefully, that you can remember as the year continues to count down. And I thank you for being part of the Book Chat audience, listening to the show, downloading it. And I truly appreciate it. So anyway, we don't have a guest for today, but we will have one next week. And hopefully through the month of August and also September, all except, of course, the Labor Day weekend. We have big plans for that, so I'm sure everyone else does too. So anyway, let's get to today's show, shall we? The title of today's show is Walking Tall, and the topic is fundamentals of character building. Well, I am a fangirl of both movies, Walking Tall, so I have to mention that since, that's the title of today's show. And I must say that Dwayne Johnson was hella sexy in the remake. Now, take a moment, ladies, to fan yourself like I'm doing while you imagine Dwayne, better known as The Rock, shirtless or with the shirt on. However, you picture him, but you see exactly what I mean. Okay, enough of that. But anyway, now let's move on to character building 101. We've had our fun for today, but I just wanted to give you something to think about while we talk about this, because it may not be the most exciting topic for today, but I hope it will be useful. But anyway, there was a reason for studying character traits from that movie, Walking Tall. And, Dwayne just has them on lock. Let's start with his handsomeness and his muscular physique, and another purpose that we can build a robust character study based on his attributes alone. All right. So in character building, we learn that these are significant traits for designing heroes in stories. And we've seen Dwayne as a WWE pro wrestler, then in blockbuster movies and also Disney movies, of all things. He personifies the image of every hero we've ever read about in books. So now that we have a few talking points, let's expand what you might not realize goes into character building. And so to help me out, I've researched a few details from my favorite info hub, Google, of course. And according to thinkwritten.com /character, character development gives 5 reliable tips. So if you need to get a little bit more understanding, you can go to that website that I just gave you, the thinkwritten.com /character development. If you go there, you will get these 5 steps to character development. So it says here are the 5 steps of strong character development to create memorable characters in your novel. Okay, so step 1 is to identify your characters and their roles in the story. That's very important. So that's the first thing, right off the top that you need to do. And number 2 is to get inside your character's head. So you have to know what they're thinking at all times. So that means you got to, you have to be their brain, because you're telling a story through their thoughts. And so number 3 is research. And I can't say that enough. You really do. You really do need to, especially if you're going to be writing about a specific type of person, whether it's a bad boy or if it's someone who has been through something horrific, if they are, just a deadbeat. But most of the time, the heroes of the story, they may start out that way. And it's not so unusual now, but usually, we always know that, that the good guys always have these strong character features. But sometimes in some of the books that I've read here lately, the good guys seem like the bad guys, but then they turn out to be, really, really awesome. But anyway, so number 4 is to have strong dialogue. You need stronger character development, because you really do need to have a strong dialogue when you are character building. That's one of the most important things too. And then number 5, show, don't tell. That's very hard. And that is something too that I had to learn as a writer. And don't be discouraged by this, because a lot of writers do this. You have to learn how to not tell, but to show. And I know many writers struggle with that, showing versus telling. But trust me, you will learn how to do this expertly over time. Now, other sources share information that pertains to showing, not telling. And you can go to Naris Singh, and let me just spell that out for you. It is NARISSASINGH. That's all one word. .com-9-qualities. Okay. And if you just go to that website, it'll tell you give you those 5 steps and probably more. But that's all I really needed. Actually, I'm sorry. It'll give you 8 of these steps. They said that there were 9, but anyway, I only saw 8. But anyway, I just want to share them with you, and then you can go to that website if you want to later. But anyway, and this right here, this applies to character creation as well as real life. So I think that's great food for thought. But anyway, living a life of integrity, there is no more critical personality trait than integrity, especially for those who are leaders. So we know that applies to fictional and nonfiction. All right, so telling the truth. So we know that that's one of the best character traits of story heroes. They always try to do what's right. Sometimes they don't, but for the most part, they always try to do what's right. And they're loyal. So that's number 3. And number 4 is they're willing to sacrifice. And that's very true. Number 5 is they are accountable for what they do. That's very important to build strong character traits. And also number 6 is they exercise self-control. Well, that's a tough one, because sometimes you have characters that lack self-control. They are very, by the hip type people. They certain things just set them off, and that's not a bad thing. It just makes that character seem all the more intense. And number 7 is accepting outcomes. That's important too, because every story does not have a happy ending, and sometimes you have to wait till the sequel to come out in order to get to that happy ending. And then number 8 is valuing commitment. So that's one of the I think one of the most important things too is when you have strong characters, leading characters that are committed to relationships or whatever it is that they're doing. Okay, so if you need a jumping off point on how to create character development and you don't know where to start, here's some excellent info you can find at www.teachingcollegegreen. Let me do that again. www.teachingcollegeenglish.com. All right, so this is describing a character for a character analysis. All right, so there are 5 points, and the first one is a strong character analysis will show you exactly, what the overall good points of the character, the overall bad points of the character. So that is, to me, that's very useful. to just analyze it first, before you really start putting the story together, just to give you some direction. So you'll know how you want to go with this character, who you want this character to be. All right. So number 2 is consider the character's name and appearance. Well, that's important too. I know I put a lot of thought into the characters' names that I use. And I also put a lot of thought into how they look. No one really can respect a leading man that is not on point. So that's important. Okay. So number 3, consider if he or she or dynamic, or if their character will be changing. So you might want to think about that as well. And like I said, when I talked about sometimes bad guys actually turn out to be good guys. So that's important. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And then number 4 is consider how the author discloses the character. And then number 5, look for these things within the creation of the character. So that, once again, is coming from the teachingcollegeenglish.com. So you might want to look for that. This one, I think, is probably more related to students who are English majors or, along that line. And but if you fall underneath that heading, then there you go. All right. So if you are stuck on starting a character description, here's some more help according to www.carvezin.com, and that's CARVEZIN. That's one word.com. This is 7 tips on writing physical descriptions of your characters. All right, so number 1 is you don't always have all the specifics, and that's true. Usually as you start to develop your characters when you're writing, they sort of take on, different attributes once you really get into their personalities, once you really get into the story. But most of the time you generally have a good idea of who you want them to be. But, still it's good to build upon that character, just add to the good things and, and also the bad things. I think people can relate better when they see characters that are realistic and not, super perfect, because we know that's not reality. No one is perfect. So you need to make sure that you expose their flaws as well. And 2, use figurative language. I think that's important when writing, to make sure that you have, that you're writing so the readers can better understand when you use figurative language. And if you don't know what that word figurative means, then you probably need to look it up. All right. So number 3 is describe facial expressions. And I think that's important. And as any writer, I'm pretty sure if you've read enough books before you've even written, your first paragraph in a story, you understand that if you're reading a story, there are no pictures, so you have to describe what's going on for the readers to know exactly, what's going on with this person. So facial expressions are very crucial when you are, when you're character building. You need to make sure you're letting the readers know, your audience know what's going on with these characters so they can follow it that way. Because generally, if you give a pretty good description, they can visualize it without actually having to, see a literal picture of it. All right. So number 4 is make the descriptions match the tone. Now that is so important. And I guess the best way for you to do it is to just get a little bit more detailed information about it. Make the descriptions match the tone. I think that's very useful. If you're gonna describe someone, and it should go along with what the story is about. If you're writing about bad boys and you have a character who is anything but a bad boy, then that's not matching the tone of the story. So you could pretty much gauge that. All right. So number 5 is scatter physical descriptions throughout the prose, and that's important. I don't think you should start out giving physical descriptions about a character and then continue it throughout the story. That's very important because they need to know, if any changes have taken place, if any, has has anything about their personality changed? All of that's very important, and you need to make sure that it's consistent throughout the story. Okay, so number 6, describe actions that reveal physical characteristics. All right, so that's a given as well. It's like the facial expressions. You need to make sure that that you tell as much as possible. Well, okay, not tell, but show as much as possible about the physical characteristics of the characters. And then number 7, a first-person narrator can give biased opinions about appearances, and that's very true. Especially if you're writing in the first person. So, I mean, that's something to think about if you want to be biased about it. And generally, you are. I know I am when I write in first person. So, because I'm the narrator, I'm telling the story, so I can't be biased about it. So there you go. Ha. All right. So, but if you need help with this, you can go here. This is the next example, which is https://examples.yourdictionary.com/character _trait -examples.html. Okay. All right. So this gives you an example of a character. So this is what they said. All right. So they said character traits are valued aspects of a person's behavior. Everyone has character traits, both good and bad, including our favorite fictional characters. Character traits are often labeled with descriptive adjectives such as patient, unfaithful, or jealous. This would make honesty one of the character traits. All right. So there you go. That's just an example of character traits in case you didn't know what I was talking about. There you go. It's laid out for you. And also you can go there and get some more examples if needed. But anyway, so, we don't have time, I don't have time for the full lesson on character development, but I hope what I shared with you today helped in some way. And remember, writing is a great way to express your creativity, but before you start the journey, have all the details and learn how to character build while you're at it. All right. All right, folks. So that's all I have for you today on the show. I hope that these things will prove useful for you on your next writing project, or if you're just starting out. If you are a seasoned writer, you already know all of these things, but this show is for the unseasoned and the seasoned writer, for beginners and those who are vets at what they do. This show is to help those who are trying to get their writing game on board, to give you some tips, some useful tips to help you along the way, and to direct you, to, whatever source that you need to gain more information. Because writing, the fun part of writing is actually, telling the story, but there is so much more in the dynamics that you need to know. And so the more you know, the better writer you will become. So all these things I hope will be useful for you. But before I let you go, I just want to make sure that you can stay in contact with the show, and please pass this information along to your friends about Book Chat, because I love this show. I love doing it every week. I love chatting with you guys, and when I have my guests on, I especially love chatting with them, and also sharing their information about what they're doing, and just to let you know, how much you have in common with other writers. You're not in this by yourself. So that's another reason why I love having guests on the show, so you can get an overall view of, of every aspect of writing, whether it's from the author or from the editor, the publisher, everything that goes into creating a book and getting it out there for the audiences to read. So anyway, if you want to stay in contact with me, of course, you need to go to https://www.spreaker.com/user/author Vivian E. Moore. You can also find me on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you just type in my name, Vivian E. Moore, I will pop up out there on Google. You can find me easily. I'm not hard to find out there. And also my website, which is at https://vivianmoore.wixsite.com/author Vivian Moore. And if you want to read today's transcript, you can go to https://vivianemoore.blogspot.com. And if you missed the live show today, you can listen to it, the recorded version, on iTunes, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, and there may be some more. I can't remember them all off the top of my head right now. But anyway, that's a good start right there for you to be able to listen to this show, the recorded version of the show. And again, I thank you so much for tuning in each week, listening and downloading those shows. And folks, if you will, just hit the like button. You know, that lets everyone else know who comes behind you that you did enjoy what you heard. And it also lets me know that you appreciate me. Thank you very much. All right, so before I let you go, tomorrow's worship day. It is the first Sunday. We have communion on the first Sunday. And take some family members, take some friends, take some neighbors, and by all means, take some children. And tell someone that you love them, because tomorrow is not promised. Today may be the only chance you get to say that. So I love you. I hope you love me back. Until the next time you hear my voice, God bless you and goodbye.
Loved what you've heard on this week's episode? Well, the answer is simple. It would mean the world to us if you could head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and feedback. Spreading the word really is the best way to grow our podcast and achieve even greater things. Thank you.